Husker Chat brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jayson Jorgensen, joined as always by Sean Callahan, the publisher of HuskerOnline. As we talk some Husker football, some Big Ten, and everything else that's been going on in a wild week of college football. Well, Sean, the Husker season came to an end. Friday's game with Iowa is a lot like what we'd seen. I think they came up with a stat. Nebraska's the only Division I team since they switched things up in the late 70s to lose 9 games in a season by 1 score or less. I guess the best way to describe it was so far or so close yet so far away.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Iowa and Michigan will play for the Big Ten title, and Nebraska had the lead on both Iowa and Michigan in the late stages of the fourth quarter. Nebraska is driving to beat Michigan in a tie game. Adrian Martinez fumbled, and obviously we know what happened against Iowa on Black Friday. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Nebraska felt so close this year, but seemingly so far.
As you look at this roster and going forward, Scott Foss certainly has a lot of things on his list that he needs to take care of. But as you look at this team and where it sets right now, what are the biggest areas where they need to improve, and where do they need the most help if they go the transfer portal route?
Well, I think quarterback is always your most important position on a football team. So you have to kind of decide what direction that's going to go. And I think without an offensive coordinator, we don't really know. Adrian Martinez's future here, it doesn't seem likely he'll be back, but who knows what Frost is thinking at this point. But it just feels like they're going to have to go to the portal for a quarterback right now. Nobody has necessarily emerged. The portal will be busy all the way really through May. You can get guys now that you can get here for the spring. You could also get guys later in May that can be here with you for the summer. I think any position you're open to. Offensive line, I know they're in the market for a guard. They're in the market for a defensive back. I know they would like to get a kicker, a punter. I mean, you could go down the list. I wouldn't be surprised if Nebraska tried to add 7 to even up to 10 transfer portal players, depending on just what positions they are and who's available.
What was your take on how Logan Smothers played against Iowa? Do you think he's good enough going forward? Could he be good enough?
I think they came at Iowa kind of with a throw the kitchen sink game plan in the first half. Iowa had not seen a lot of that stuff. I mean, just what I know about the Big Ten, you can't really, at his size, run it that much as a quarterback and expect to make it through a season. So I think it worked for about 3 quarters against Iowa, and they adjusted. And Nebraska, Jayson, here's the facts. Nebraska rushed for 18 yards on 16 carries in the entire second half. So I think what he does, it's a very unique skill set, but Iowa did make some adjustments, and you question now that he's on film more, would teams have a better handle of defending him week to week? But, makes me question, why didn't they play him against Minnesota in running situations when we knew Adrian Martinez in that game couldn't run? I mean, I think there were some other games this year you would have liked to have seen him come in almost as a change of pace, zone read Wildcat quarterback.
Today on Husker Chat, we're joined by Sean Callahan, the publisher of HuskerOnline. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. The search for new assistant coaches. Of course, everyone's a little antsy online and on Twitter, and everyone's like, why hasn't it happened yet? Well, I mean, it's going to take some time, isn't it? Especially when you see things shuffle out the way they have at USC, LSU, and now Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, just look around college football. There haven't been any assistant coaches really announced anywhere yet. It just takes time. I know Frost got a jump on things by making the staff moves when he did, but the coordinator piece, we still don't really know where that's going and when will that happen. They're going to have a few recruits in this weekend. I don't think that these coaching hires have much impact on those decisions at all with these recruits. But yeah, they've got to get some of these things done. And, I thought we'd hear something even on Tuesday, at least 1, maybe 2 hires from what I had heard, but we haven't yet. And obviously we're taping around lunchtime here on Wednesday.
What's your take on this Big Ten title game? You mentioned before these 2 teams each probably should have lost to Nebraska. Huge victory for Michigan last week against Ohio State. And here comes Iowa rolling in 10-2, and they just pretty much done what they've done under Kirk Ferentz. That they are great at keeping the game close, and then they find a way to win late.
Yeah, I think Iowa, I don't know if they have enough offensive firepower to beat Michigan, and Michigan is sound on special teams. The mistakes that we saw Nebraska make Michigan's not making those mistakes with block punts, and they're not going to miss field goals. As we saw that in Lincoln. But I think they've got 2 first-round draft picks on the edge, that all Big Ten guys that can get the quarterbacks. Iowa doesn't have much mobility at quarterback. So I think they're going to be able to get after Iowa's quarterbacks. They've got 2 really good running backs. Haskam is a very good one, all Big Ten level guy. So I just have a hard time seeing Iowa winning this game. But Iowa has a strange way of, finding ways to keep things interesting. And I think this is a better matchup for Iowa than Ohio State would have been, because Iowa State definitely didn't have the horses to match up with Ohio State on that stage.
All right, we'll see what happens on Saturday night. Sean, as always, we appreciate all your time and help and efforts this year. It was certainly a tough year for the Huskers. Hopefully Scott Frost has a great offseason, and we'll talk to you in the spring.
Okay, Jason, thank you.
You bet. That was Sean Callahan, the publisher of HuskerOnline, joining us for Husker Chat. That will do it for this season. We also want to thank Acres Equipment for their support all season long. I'm Jayson Jorgensen.